So when the West wants to do something, they always do it like they always orchestrate the entire thing, and they collaborate between themselves, and they come up with like decisions. Anyway, this is a great news. I don't know what if it's good or positive or negative. I don't know what you think about it. But this is Emmanuel Macron, le président de la République française. So they have recognized formally the state of Palestine, and this is his tweet. He says, consistent with its historic commitment to a just and lasting peace in the Middle East. Ah man, money. Yeah, you don't want to talk about history. Like you have a terrible history with everybody. I mean, I have decided that France will recognize the state of Palestine. I will make these solemn announcements before the United Nations General Assembly this coming September. The urgent priority today is to end the war in Gaza to bring the relief to the civilian population. Peace is possible. We need an immediate ceasefire, the release of all hostages, and massive humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. We must also ensure that the demilitarization of Hamas, secure and rebuild Gaza, and finally we must build the state of Palestine, guarantee its viability, and ensure that by accepting its demilitarization and fully recognize Israel is contribute to the security of all region. So this is Emmanuel Macron, like I said, the president of France. I mean, I don't even like France. They have colonized my country. They have colonized other country. I mean, it's not just France. I don't like the West in general. I'm not trying to hide each other. Like I'm transparent with you guys. Like I mean, like I have they have inflicted trauma on us. You talk to anybody in the global south, they will have some horrific stories about either Britain or. So anyway, I mean, I don't want to make it about myself. So this is the Prime Minister of Australia. So they also said this is Anthony Albanese, and they also this conflict has stolen, and I think they also recognize it or something like that. This include allowing the United. This is political talk. This is what I don't want to read the entire thing. So as the global community envision two states, the state of Israel and the state of Palestine, recognizing the legitimate aspiration of the Palestinian people for a state of their own has long been a bipartisan position in Australia. And then you also had Keir Starmer from the United Kingdom. He say, I will hold an emergency call with the E3 partner tomorrow where we'll discuss what we can do urgently to stop the killing and get people the food they desperately. It's also, okay, well, we're not going to read that. But it says here, I must reiterate my call for all sides to engage in good faith. Everybody is in good faith except the West. The West is the problem here. Everybody is in good faith. Everybody is on the good side of history. The entire world is acting, in accordance to the international law and on the side of justice and against, occupation and against, injustice and against crimes and mass murder and all that. That's the position of the world. It's not just. But they have to do this double speak or whatever it's called. That's why I say you should never trust these Westerners. They always lie. I mean, the entire thing is funded by Britain. You sending them jets and fighter jets and missiles and all that. I'm talking about good faith. Hypocrite. You're a bunch of hypocrite. That's what you are. Okay, it says to bring about an immediate ceasefire and for Hamas to unconditionally release all hostages. We strongly support the effort of US, Qatar, Egypt to secure this. Well, I have an idea. If you want to end Hamas, you end the illegal occupation. That's easy. Everybody keep talking about this Hamas, this, Hamas stealing the aid, Hamas is holding the hostages, Hamas doing this. Okay, October said. Okay, well, we heard that. Well, but there's an easy way to end Hamas. You end the illegal occupation. But see, you keep talking about this Hamas because you don't want to end the illegal occupation. And this is frustrating, So this is a joint statement, Occupied Palestinian Territory joint statement. This is from 21 July 2025. So the UK and 30 international partners gave a joint statement And even though I talk bad about and I criticize the West all the time, look, this is a joint statement by all these countries: Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Cyprus, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Greece, Japan, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and the UK. And guess who's not there? Guess who is against international law? America. See, the world will be way safer and way stable if the West abandoned this idea of having a major empire, controlling everybody. Because America now is the problem. But before, it was the British Empire, it was the French Empire, the Portuguese, the Spanish Empire, the German Empire, the Italians. It's like their entire history is always they have somebody that needs to dominate everybody else. It doesn't have to work like that. There's like these talks nowadays in geopolitics about multipolarity and all that. Well, yes, but the motherfucking American have to be, I don't know what to do with them, whether they have to be dismantled, or I don't know what's the solution. I mean, to be honest with you, it's a catastrophic situation. I mean, the main problem now is America. They don't want to give up on their hegemony and all that. And I understand people don't want to relinquish their power. You have to destroy some country way over there, because it's a threat to your national security. Anyway, this is I keep going off topic. Well, I don't want to read it. That's because it's just political stuff, and it's like the hostages cruelly held captive by Hamas. We already addressed that. A negotiated ceasefire offered the best hope. Well, also think about like the hostages. These ones that are still alive. Hamas is doing a good job, keeping them alive. Probably they have more food than the population living in Palestine, in Gaza. It's like, it's a miracle that they keep them alive. When we see this picture of like starving babies and all that, we call on the Israeli government to immediately lift a restriction on the flow of aid to urgently, well, they don't want to do that. We call on all parties to protect civilians and uphold the obligation of international humanitarian law proposed to remove the Palestinian population onto a humanitarian city. And this humanitarian city, it sounds like a concentration camp to me. And like I said, this is completely unacceptable. Permanent forced displacement is a violation of international law. 2 states, it's in the right direction about this 2-state solution, But I don't agree with it. I advocate for the 1-state solution, and you will have everybody in that land living together with full citizenship. Now, of course, there's going to be some type of like a struggle in order to get like the Palestinians have to fight for their civil rights and all that, but it's not going to be armed struggle or anything like that. And it has worked. But normalization with Israel is just the normal state. People get very emotional about this. They say, well, you're going to compensate the illegal occupation and all that. But I don't think that I mean, you have to get rid of the emotional talk about, when discussing this topic. It has worked in South Africa. You have these German and people from the Netherlands and all that were occupying, the territory. And now everybody's living, together in peace and stability and all that. I think it can work. But 2-state solution, see, the problem with trying to isolate yourself is going to become somebody's bitch. Just like, think about Taiwan. Taiwan, there's like some people there, and also the United States, they're pushing this idea that Taiwan has to be independent. Well, if Taiwan become independent, they're going to become China's bitch. There's no way about it. Like, they're not going to be a global superpower or even a regional superpower. And the goal is not to be a superpower or have influence and all that. is the fact that you're gonna call yourself independent. Like if you establish this two-state solution, okay, you're gonna have a state called Palestine, but it's gonna be dependent on Israel. Even if Israel is not controlling the border, even if they're not controlling the airspace and all that, they're still gonna be dependent on Israel. So that's why the one-state solution with everybody living together in peace and harmony, it's better. That's what I think. If you have anything to add, leave it in the comments. But this is just how I see it. But anyway, see you next time.